Welcome to this week's devlog video. A special thanks to Shannon Galloway for being the official Patreon sponsor of this video. This week we're going to take a look at notifications and how we can create our notification page. If you like this kind of videos, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and let's get into it. Skillshare is an online learning platform with over 27,000 different online classes ranging from design, business and tech. If you use my link in the description, you'll get 2 months of free use. So be sure to check it out, the link is in the description. So for the first day, we created a notification page where we could press create, and that would just schedule a daily notification with a set name and time. To accomplish this, I used a local notification plugin, and I just created a notification plugin class where we then initialize the plugin. You can find most of the specific code used in here in the readme of the local notification plugin, but I'm just using pretty much the same code that he used in the readme. So first off, we just initialize the plugin, and then after that we can see that we have this onSelectNotification method. And this is not really used, I'm just printing the actual payload for now. And then after that we have the method, which is just a show weekly at day and time. With this method we can just pass in the time, day, the ID, title and description, and that will schedule a notification for us. And this method is simply calling the local notification method of show weekly and day and time with the specified parameters. We also have a method for getting the scheduled notifications and also cancelling the notification with a specific ID. So now in the notification page we can see that we initialize the plugin and create a list, and then in init state we just set our notifications to the get scheduled notifications, and then we just have that as a future, and this will just display a list view with the different texts. Then we can see on the on pressed of the button, we can see that we call the function with show weekly at day and time, and we pass in a set time and day with an ID of 0. Then after that we just simply call set state with the notification future, so the future builder will be updated. So inside this set state we can simply see that we call the get scheduled notifications and then just set that to our list of notification future. Then the rest of the class is the same as before. So Tuesday was a bit more fun. We actually started to create our create notification page. The layout of this page was very simple. We actually used a field for the title and description, and also a button for setting the time. Then we can see that after we fill in the title and description, we can tap the button, and that will give us this time or clock selector, and we can just set a time for whatever we want. I just set it to 10. And then when we create that, we will have a notification that is set for 10 o'clock each day. We still haven't created any UI for that though, so we will simply just display a text of title for now. So the first thing we mainly changed was this notification plugin class, and instead of having show weekly at day and time, we created a show daily at time, where we could just pass in the time ID, title and description. Then at the bottom of the notification page, we just simply call a navigator notification creation, and this will just navigate to our new class, which is called create notification page. If we check this is pretty simple. We just have a column and expander with the fields, and also a select time and create notification. So we just get our values from the different selectors and input fields, and then we just create our object and then pop that back to the previous page. So as we used a pop to pop the notification data back, we're then just checking if it's not null in case they have just tapped the back button. Then we just get the notification list. We loop through them to get the ID that we can use. If we find a index or ID that we can use, we set that to our int ID. And then we simply use that ID for the scheduling of the notifications. After that is scheduled, we just set the state for the notification future again, so that will update the UI. So one more class we created was this simple notification data object, which just contains the title, description and time, and then have a constructor for that. So on Wednesday I couldn't sit as much as I wanted to, so what we actually did was just updating the UI a bit in the notification page. So we can see that this is pretty much doing the same thing. We can fill in the title and description, but what we are actually using now is a form field. So if we would not have anything in the fields, those fields would get an error message. So we can see here that if we use create, we can also see we have a tile for the notification. And then if we just go back to create and just press create, we can see that we get those messages because the fields are not filled. So to accomplish this, I went to the create notification page and created a global key for the form. Then we wrapped our column in this form and then passed the form key into that. We have our custom input fields, and the only difference with these are that we actually have a text form field instead, and then we have the validator. So the validator simply checks if the value is empty or not, and then just returns a message for that. And then the page is pretty much the same thing, it's just that we just extracted the widgets before into this custom wide flat button. And inside here we simply have all of the code for that button we had before. So that was all with this custom wide flat button, and also pretty much everything with the create notification page. So the only difference now is in the notification page, where we actually changed so we have these cards for the notification. You can see in the list view builder we just return a notification tile where we pass the specific notification. And this is very simple. We're simply returning a card with a list tile. And then we have the title with the text of title and the subtitle with the text of body. And we don't actually have a value for the time, and I will see how I will do that in the future. So for Thursday is what's pretty much bug testing to see if everything was working. So I just scheduled a notification, to call it my notification, and also I put in a description. We then set the time to pretty much a time that was like 1 minute after creating the notification. And after that was created, I simply could just wait and see if that notification was working. So here we have the scheduled notification. If we now check, we should get a notification. And of course we got a notification with the specific title and also the description, which is the body. And then for some small finishing touches on this card, we just added a delete button. So the code was actually working before, so the only difference we made to this day was simply adding a delete notification function. And this delete notification function was just passed to that notification tile. And this delete function would simply just call the cancel notification in the plugin, and we would pass the ID, and then also refresh the notification, which would just call the set state for the notification future. And then everything else is pretty much the same, except that if we are in the notification tile, we can see that we also have a trailing now, which just takes a icon button, and that would call the delete notification function. We just give it the ID of the notification and also set a delete icon. So as we had the basic structure of the app, I started to then implement or update the design of Figma for the app. We can see that most of the things are the same. We have our homepage, our cups page, and also our notification page. And we can see that we have a slight different change on this tile for the notification, and that's mostly what we're going to implement. So here we can see it in the works. If we just create a notification with both a title and description, we can see that after we have created it, we should have a notification. The only thing right now is that the time is just a placeholder because I haven't thought out a good way of getting the time for the notification. So in the notification page, we just simply go to the notification tile, and then we can see that we have a card with an elevation and also a circular shape. So what I pretty much did was just create the list tile design with just columns and rows, so we could have 3 rows instead of just 2. So the first row would contain with the first text of title, then we have some small space, and then the next one, which is the body, and then we have the row which just contains a icon and the text of the time, and then in the end we would have a icon button. So for the last day, I just added some more placeholders to cover up the space when we didn't have any notifications scheduled. So we could see that we had a placeholder image, and after we used create a notification, that would then be replaced with the notification. So now we can see that we have actually implemented the design from Figma, and also if we delete this, we have our placeholder. So first off, we had a placeholder in the create notification page, and this is just simply inside the column, inside the form. So we can see that inside this column we have a expanded, and then also an aspect ratio of 1, which would just make it so that if it had less space, it would just keep the aspect ratio of being a squared box and not just squishing together. And then the rest of this page was pretty much the same thing. So let's move on to notification page. And inside this notification page, at the future builder for the list view, we could see that we have a checker for if the notifications is empty. And if it is, we're going to return a expanded with then the center and a container with a height and width of 300. And inside that, we then had our simple placeholder. If you like this video, please let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel and also hitting the notification bell. If you missed the last week's devlog, be sure to check that out on the screen now, and also a big shout out to my Patreons. And as Patreon is the only stable income I get from this, be sure to check that out, as that will help me create more videos. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.